Hey everybody, this is Blake here. I'm going to be talking about a few random things from critiquing the critics to what I got for Christmas. Now, after I did my Cinema Snob movie review, I had planned on taking a 2 or 3 week break because that took so much time, and then I'd go ahead and start season 4 of critiquing the critics. Well, obviously, it's been much longer than that, and the reason for this, well, there's a few reasons. The first is that almost immediately when I was going to start pre-production on the episode, I had an emergency in the family, and that consumed a lot more time than I had expected. And then almost as soon as that started to wrap up, work really started to pick up. And I always forget how busy my job gets around the holidays. So I just didn't have a whole lot of time. I mean, I could have done episodes if I really wanted to, but I just wasn't in the mood. But I don't want to use all my free time working on my video productions. I mean, you guys have to remember that this is a hobby. I don't get paid that much for this. I get 30, 40 bucks a month, sometimes a little more, but not enough to really even pay for my gas. I don't do donations, I don't do midstream ads. This will never become a full-time occupation. It is just a hobby that I do whenever I have the time and whenever I really feel like it. So I apologize for all these delays, and I thank you for being so patient. For the most part, I haven't gotten any real complaints, just a few prods here and there, but nothing wrong with that. And I do promise that I'm going to start working on critiquing the critics now. Now, you might be wondering what this thing is in the background. For Christmas, I got a few gifts that are really going to change the way critiquing the critics is done. The first is I got 2 softbox lights. And I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to use them. I'm still doing a lot of research. One thing that was a pain is that no instructions came with this, so I had to set everything up with not having a clue what I was doing, and it took like 5 hours just to get it set up. So I got to figure out like where to put it, what angle. The only reason I'm using it now is because it's kind of late. It's 6:30, and so I can't use any natural light. My ceiling light doesn't really do as well as this, so it's a little bit brighter. So I'm not just planning on having it sit there in the background so you could see it. It's pretty distracting, I know. But the second gift I got is actually kind of even better. I got a green screen. So I was testing out a little bit today, and I'm still not really used to it. There are a few things I'm going to have to figure out. For example, it's really big, much bigger than I would have expected. And I'm not even sure if I could fit it in this room, or if I'm going to have to find a new location, which will probably mean I'll have to buy an HD camera. That's not just a webcam. That's going to be a bummer. I hope I don't have to resort to that. But it'll be funny to see how I could utilize it, because I'm not going to make this, flashy. I'm not one of those, high-tech video reviewers, but it should be fun to just play with, and I'm really excited as to what I could learn about it. So that's actually another reason why I've been taking a while to do this episode. Is I was hoping this would be much more simple to set up, but even then I probably won't be able to use my green screen. I'm not even sure about this light for the first couple episodes of season 4 anyway, until I've mastered it. So that is that. But I figure I'd go ahead and talk a little bit about what I went through during Christmas. Now, of course, as you get older, getting presents isn't quite the same as when you were a kid. These days, I'm more interested in some useful stuff, not just toys. And I guess I want a little bit in terms of video games, but not too much. But one thing I always ask for is just movies, bizarre movies or books based on movies, not necessarily like novelizations of films, but like behind the scenes stuff. I'm really interested in that kind of deal. So I got a bunch of weird ass movies, like my favorite title of all time, Attack of the Vegan Zombies. That's just great. Me and my dad were hanging out. We discovered this like record store, and for some reason there's a lot more movies there than there is records. But there are a lot of like rare movies, or at least movies you could easily get online, but you don't generally find in video stores. For example, a lot of Fulci's works like The Beyond and Zombie I saw there. I'd never seen those in a normal retail store anyway. And another one I got that I also had seen there was Alien 2 on Earth. I'm not even sure how that's legal to have over here, because I'm pretty sure the filmmakers of Alien wouldn't appreciate this unofficial sequel trying to cash in on their movie, especially considering, I can't find Jaws 5 Cruel Jaws anywhere except online, and even the copy I got was bootleg. So I don't know how that worked out, but that was a lot of fun. I got some more normal movies, like there was a Kung Fu disc set that came with a bunch of movies I'd never even heard of, but I'll definitely watch those. I got some, it was like a pack with Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, and Christopher Lee, just some of their movies. Like one I really want to see is The Horror Express with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I've always been excited to give that one a look. But I always like a lot, especially Christopher Lee and Vincent Price. I'm a huge fan of theirs, and I always am looking forward to watching more of their stuff. And what else did I get? Oh, I got Jaws for Blu-ray, which was exciting because I really wanted to see that Shark is Still Working documentary. They released it like a while back on television, but they hadn't shown it since, and it hadn't been released on DVD or anything. So I was thrilled to actually watch that, and it was definitely great. Every Jaws fan should check it out. I haven't watched the movie on Blu-ray yet, though, but I'll have to do that soon too, because I'm such a huge Jaws fan. I watch that movie all the time. And I got a DVD of Jaws 2. Why Jaws 2? For some reason, I've always owned all the Jaws movies on VHS. Like, I have an old, recorded one of the original Jaws. Then for Christmas or something, I remember getting Jaws 3 and 4 as a kid, and I still have those copies, and I occasionally will watch them. Even Jaws 4 has some nostalgic value for me, but I never had Jaws 2, and I always found that weird because Jaws 2 is technically the best of the sequels, but I've never really cared about it as much as Jaws 3 or 4, even though they're technically worse, especially Jaws 4. Once again, there's a lot of nostalgia there, whereas Jaws 2 I didn't watch as much, so it's just not quite the same, but I'm glad that I finally completed my collection. Now I have Jaws 1 through 5. Yes, there's a Jaws 5. But so that was great. One area I really made a mistake was I had noticed they had released a new Super Mario Brothers game, and I loved the one they did for the Wii, so I asked to get that. Little did I know that I was so out of touch with the gaming industry that they had actually released a new Wii system called the Wii U. I had never seen any commercials or anything about that, so I was totally caught off guard. And when I realized I had because I did end up getting the game, I realized I had it and I just didn't have the right system. I was face palming like mad crazy, so I'll probably have to buy that soon. But I'm sure it will be fun to play. I really enjoyed the Wii, even though PS3 is my favorite system. I like how the Wii is completely different. So I like the sports games, the party games, and stuff like that. So I'll eventually do that. I got some weird gifts too. Like there was some Swiss Army knife thing that came with this real crappy wallet. The wallet's already falling apart on me, but the Swiss Army knife is pretty cool. It has a bunch of crap on it. Got a lot of gift cards. Did I get any? I got some weird book about the surviving the zombie apocalypse. It's from the guy who did that World War Z novel. I haven't read that yet, but that should be weird. I have a new Jaws t-shirt. There are a few books that I don't really remember what they're about anymore. They're just pretty normal books, but I'll definitely read them. I'm always thrilled to get gifts that I don't expect, so I always try to go through them so they're not just collecting dust anyway. And that's pretty much it, but it was getting the presents for other people that turned out to be quite the adventure. Now, I try to avoid giving gift cards or cash. I think that's kind of lazy. I will do it sometimes if they request that of me. Like for my mom and stepdad, I just gave them $100 because they just wanted money. But when it came to my sister, I decided I'd give her my old computer. Now, if you hadn't heard, and by the way, I release a lot of this information on Twitter, so if you aren't following me there, you should. but I got a new computer, so now I could edit my videos faster. So when I do get started on critiquing the critics again, it'll go probably quicker than before because I'll have much more room to edit. But so I'd figure I'd give her my old computer, but I'd delete all my stuff, try to make it move faster. I'd put in my antivirus software because I got a 2 combination for like $80. I don't actually remember if that's the actual price, but my computer turned out to be a fiasco because I initially wanted a better one that had this real high-tech graphics card, but they were out and they didn't realize that at first, so I ended up waiting 15 minutes before being told that they had no more. So I got the next best thing, and I'd have a video card installed, and it would actually be a little bit less money, and the video card would be better than the one I had been hoping for. But that ended up taking, they first said it was 15 minutes, but then they realized it would take about 2 hours, so I'm like, fine, I wanted the computer now, but what the hell. So 2 hours later, I call back wondering what's going on, and they said, oh, you need this new power supply. The one that's in there is just not strong enough to maintain this graphics card. And I'm like, crap, how much is this going to cost? $40. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not as much as I was expecting. So I wait, but it's going to take another day. So I call back at the end of the next day, and they say, your computer's rejecting the graphics card. It just won't turn on. And it's weird because we take it out and put the old graphics card in there, it works fine. And 3 days later, I shit you not, they come to me, or they call back and they say, we've realized that these graphics cards just aren't compatible with Windows 8. And I'm thinking, how in the hell did they not notice this before? Man, useless Geek Squad, useless. So I just say, screw it, give me the computer back, don't put in the new graphics card or the power supply, I'll just take it as is. So I was really happy with that computer, but I couldn't get my sister, the one I was going to give my sister, figured out because I did all the stuff to speed it up, but it was always incredibly slow. So eventually, after like 8 hours of working on this mofo, I learned that my dad had a copy of the Windows XP system. So, and that's what I had used on my old computer. I'm very frugal, so I keep my computers for like 10 years. So I put in this XP thing, and after another 8 hours of figuring that shit out, I finally get it to work to where it's at least passable. My sister didn't have a computer before, so this was kind of a big deal for her. But so it took about 16, 17 hours just to get her present figured out. Miserable, but at least that was done, and it was a pretty good gift. Then my dad, I wanted to get an HD TV, a flat screen. He had a pretty much the best you could get that wasn't a flat screen, but lately he had suggested that he'd be interested in getting one. So me and my sister split the cost, and we were going to purchase this flat screen TV at her workplace. Unfortunately, they come back 30 minutes later after me waiting and say, we're out of that kind. And I'm like, okay, well, can you call other stores around and find out? Nobody had them. So I call a little bit myself after 40 minutes of waiting just from that. And I find that there is one store that was a little farther than the others that he'd called that did carry one. So we go there to pick it up, and they actually made a mistake. It wasn't there after all. And so we were just looking at, because they had a bigger selection, and I was looking at some of these TVs, and I see one that's around the same price. No, it's actually cheaper, but it's a little bit bigger, and it seemed like a better TV. But it turned out that the price tag was wrong. So, and the one that they had the price tag for wasn't there either. So the manager was actually really cool, and he went ahead and gave us the television and for that price. So we ended up saving like $100-something bucks and got a better TV than what we were expecting. So while it was definitely a challenge, it worked out for the better. So that's really all I got to say. I wanted to fill out this video somehow. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I do plan on releasing a Critiquing the Critics episode either next week or the following week, and between there expect stuff like my best or my favorite and least favorite movies of 2012, maybe a review memoirs and a kick-ass of awesome. We'll just have to see, but I'm definitely working on getting a Critiquing the Critics episode finally up and getting season 4 moving. Oh yeah, one thing I sort of cheated. I fell off the wagon. Usually when I watch a video reviewer, I only watch the ones who I'm about to review, but I had also been doing Robert Million's Golden Critic Awards thing, so I was introduced to a lot more interesting reviewers, and for some reason I got on a Yezu Otaku binge. I always pronounced her name wrong, apparently. And so I ended up watching almost all of her videos. I got addicted. So I'm probably going to incorporate her into Season 4, too. Just so I wouldn't feel like I'd totally wasted time. Anyway, that's all. This video is turning out to be kind of long. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.